Hi, this is Editor's Take. I'm Sakshi Batra and I have with me Gaurav Choudhury, is the Deputy Executive Editor of Moneycontrol, and we are here to talk about the farm relief package announced in the interim budget. Thanks very much, Gaurav, for joining in. Now, first up, this 6,000 rupees per farmer, which has been announced for an annual, per year, which will actually come up to about 2,000 rupees, in 3 tranches for an annual year. But, over this weekend, we've seen farm protests that because this is probably not enough according to them, this actually comes to about 16.5 rupees per day. What are your thoughts on that?
So, there are two ways of looking at it. One, first of all, we should not look at it as a salary. So it's not a daily thing. People have broken it down to a daily entitlement. I don't think it's a daily entitlement. It is not supposed to be a daily entitlement. So it is supposed to be paid at 2,000 rupees per family, per farmer, eligible farmer, thrice a year, and that will be transferred to the account. So to that extent, it is not a salary. So to that, we should not be comparing it and breaking it down to a daily level, which is something because that can lead to fallacious interpretations. That is one. But what it does, however, is that it kind of gives a fiscal perspective to any kind of an income guarantee scheme. So if the government is talking about providing income support of 6,000 rupees per year to 12 crore, that is 120 million farmers, that is going to cost the government 75,000 crore. That is what the government estimates say. Now, if that alone costs 75,000 crore and we are talking about a targeted poverty income support scheme for poverty alleviation, say for instance 1/3 of India's population, if income is supplemented by some kind of a government transfer, and even if it's say 6,000 rupees, that'll cost about twice or thrice the amount that the government is going to shell out for this scheme. So it kind of put things in perspective, the cost of rolling out an universal or even a quasi-universal basic income scheme.
Absolutely. But there's one more point, it has actually left out the agricultural laborers and also the tenant farmers. So should this package have actually looked at a more inclusive approach then?
So that is one of the biggest flaws that is being pointed out. Sharecroppers and tenant farmers, people who are landless farmers, will not be eligible for this scheme. That is something that the government will have to address as the scheme gets rolled out. The scheme will get rolled out as soon as possible because they have set aside, the government has set aside 20,000 crore for this financial year itself. But what it does, however, and according to government officials that we have spoken to, they say that the targeted beneficiaries have already been identified.
Okay.
But what it does not tell us is that the Indian land title deed system or in the title deed records are in a big mess. It's a messy record. So does it mean it's an opportunity also to clean up the title deed records in India? But if you are not able to identify the eligible farmers, and if somebody is an absentee landlord who owns 2 hectares of land, that absentee landlord could end up getting the money even though the farming is done by somebody else. So that's a big flaw, that design flaw that needs to be addressed.
So could there be some legal issues also springing up in the future, once these things come up? Because we've also seen there are instances that a portion of a land is probably owned by more than one landowner.
So that is something that needs to be addressed. That is one implementation hurdle that I foresee in this problem. The government has to be absolutely sure, since this is funded entirely by the center, it has to be absolutely sure that the money that it is targeted to actually goes to the targeted farmer. It should not be that an absentee landlord is actually cornering 6,000 rupees by staying in a city or a town and without doing anything, just getting that money because he or she owns 2 hectares of land in a village nearby.
And how will this money get transferred to the beneficiaries? That is also another
point. That will probably be Aadhaar linked, and that is what the government is saying, that the implementation is something that the government will have to work alongside with state governments. Because agriculture, the implementation of identification of these farmers, the eligible farmers, the agriculturalists, will have to be given out by the state governments. So the state governments will have to come on board fully for this scheme to be actually implemented in both letter and spirit.
Right, but some of the critics are also pointing out to the, already in the past where we have seen some state implemented some similar schemes, like Odisha and Telangana, where they offer probably more money, like in the hands of farmers, like 8,000 rupees per family or 10,000 rupees per family. So how do you compare that to this one?
So we need to distinguish. One is that this is the scheme in Telangana and Odisha are linked to crop cycles. This is an income support scheme for perpetuity. So this scheme will only get bigger and bigger. If it is 75 costing 75,000 crore, and as the finance minister during the weekend, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley during the weekend indicated that the government is open to the idea of raising this the corpus, if from say 500 rupees a month or 2,000 rupees, 6,000 rupees a year, if it grows bigger, the cost to the government will only grow. It needs to be seen, and whatever the center is giving, every state government probably can supplement that, or conversely, the center's income support scheme, so far as this farm package is concerned, is actually supporting whichever state is giving a similar scheme.
Absolutely. Thanks very much then, Gaurav, for sharing all that insight. Well, not all is well with the farm relief package, but not everything is wrong as well. There are some issues that will be definitely springing up in the future once the implementation starts, but those are the hurdles that the government will look at definitely clarifying as soon as these implementation will start for sure. Thanks very much for joining us in this edition of Editor's Take, and do stay logged on to moneycontrol.com for more news and updates. Thanks for watching.